In this video, I will show you how to set up a dual boot system with Linux Mint Debian Edition alongside Windows 11. I will guide you through the process of installing Linux Mint on the same drive as Windows 11 without any data loss. The setup I will show you is among the easiest and safest methods for installing Linux Mint on any PC or laptop. Additionally, at the end of this video, I will show you how to safely uninstall Linux Mint Debian Edition from dual boot configuration. Be sure to watch until the end to avoid any confusion. The only requirements of this video, you need to have Windows 11 or Windows 10 running on your PC or laptop. Next, you need an 8 gigs or higher pen drive to create a bootable disk with Linux Mint. Lastly, reserve a free space of 50 GB or more from your drive. To set up a dual boot and install Linux Mint Debian Edition alongside Windows 11, you need to create a free space. Open the Start menu, type diskmg-empty, and choose Create Format and Partitions from the search results. This will open a disk manager which shows all of the connected drives along with their partitions. Now, as you can see in my case, one drive is connected. If you notice, drive 0 has two partitions. The first one is the EFI partition where the Windows bootloader is present. The second one is the main Windows. In your case, you may also have a partition named Recovery. Now I'm going to choose the C drive to shrink the free space for Linux Mint. In your case, it might be D, E, or F, whatever. Just choose the right partition and right click on it. Now choose Shrink Volume and allocate a minimum of 40 GB or higher for Linux Mint. You can type the value in megabytes. In my case, I'm going to allocate 150,000 megabytes and click on Shrink. This will create an unallocated free space. Then go to the official website of Linux Mint and download the Debian Edition. Additionally, follow the second link in the description to download a tool named Rufus, which helps create a bootable pen drive with Linux Mint. You can also use alternative tools like Ventai to make a bootable USB. Once the files are downloaded, store them on your computer for easy access. Now connect your pen drive to your computer and open Rufus with admin privileges. Select your drive, import Linux Mint ISO. Choose the partition scheme as GPT or default and click Start to create a bootable USB with Linux Mint. Restart your computer. During the reboot, you will need to access the BIOS settings. Now use the keyboard shortcut relevant to your motherboard. Typically, it could be F2, F9, or Escape key. The first step in the BIOS is to enable USB boot and set the USB drive as the primary boot device. Linux Mint supports secure boot, so there's no need to disable it. Now save the changes and your system will boot into the Linux Mint live setup from the pen drive. Now inside the live setup of Linux Mint, connect to the internet and launch the installer. Now choose the system language, time zone, and keyboard layout. Set up a new user account for Linux Mint. If you have a spare drive on your computer, choose the automated option for standalone Linux Mint installation. For a dual boot setup, select Manual Partitioning and create two partitions for Linux Mint using the free space allocated earlier. Now you can see the free space we have allocated. Use gparted to create an EFI system partition and a root partition for Linux Mint. Select the unallocated free space, right-click and choose New. The first partition is going to be called ESP, shortly known as EFI System Partition, which is used to store the Linux Mint bootloader. Now using the slider, shrink the free space to 1200 megabytes. Then name the label as Mint EFI or anything and set the file system as FAT32. Click on Add and we are done with the first partition. It's time to create a root partition for Linux Mint. To do so, right-click on the free space and choose New. Now use the entire free space for root. Name the label, leave everything to the defaults, and click on Add. We're done creating two partitions for Linux Mint. Now click on this button to apply the changes. Now select the ESP partition we have created, right-click on it and choose Manage Flags. Add a tick mark to ESP and boot, then close the dialog. We're telling the installer that this is the Linux Mint EFI partition where the grub bootloader will be installed. Now close the gparted window and we're back to the installer. Now click on refresh to see the partitions we have created. Select the root partition and click on edit. Assign the mount point as / and format it with ext4 file system. Note down the device ID of the EFI partition for Linux Mint. In my case, it's dev nvme0n1p4. And click on Next. Now choose to install the bootloader to the EFI partition we have created by providing the valid device ID. Then click on Next and choose Install. The installation will take some time, so sit back, relax, and don't interrupt your computer. Once the installation is complete, shut down your computer. Remove the USB pen drive and turn on your computer. It should automatically load the grub menu. If you notice, the menu only shows Linux Mint and there's no way of Windows boot entry. To fix that issue, boot into Linux Mint. Then open a terminal and edit the grub configuration file. Increase the timeout limit by 30 seconds and uncomment this line. Now save the changes with Ctrl+O and exit with Ctrl+X. Then update the grub configuration with this command. Restart your computer and you will see Linux Mint and Windows boot entries in the grub menu. Now, using it, you can boot into Linux Mint or Windows 11 easily. This is how you set up a dual boot with Linux Mint, Debian Edition, and Windows 11. As a bonus part of the video, if in case you don't like Linux Mint and decide to uninstall it, reboot your computer back into Windows 11. Open the Disk Manager from the search menu. Next to the C drive, you can see two partitions were created. Go ahead and remove these two partitions by deleting them. Unfortunately, there is no direct way to delete the Linux Mint EFI partition. To address this issue, open Command Prompt and run it as an administrator. Then type the disk part. Now type list disk. This will display all connected drives to the PC. In my case, I have connected one drive and I'm going to select it by typing this command. Then type list partition to display all of the partitions on this drive. You might see 3+ partitions. Look for the system partition or EFI partition. Now there will be two system partitions. Do not touch partition 1. If you notice, the EFI partition we created for Linux Mint is around 1200 megabytes, and this is the one related to Linux Mint. Now select this partition by typing the command. Once it's selected, type the command to delete it. Now you will see an unallocated free space that you can use to expand the Windows 11. That's it. Now we have successfully removed Linux Mint. Restart your computer. It should boot your system directly into Windows 11 and you won't face any grub issues. This is how you properly set up a dual boot on your Windows computer. That's pretty much it. What do you guys think about it? If you have any questions, do post them in the comment section down below and I will try to help you. Thanks for watching my video. This is been KSK Ryle. I will see you in the next one.